So I seeded a cool season lawn in the very worst part of the year, in the summertime, and it was an epic fail. Or was it? If you watched my last video where I was seeding this, I talked about one thing that I would do or that I was doing to combat this type of issue. Dirt, you don't want something to come along and wash out your seed. I've never really been a fan of straw blankets, but we're gonna do it on half of this and we're gonna leave the other half uncovered just so we can see if it makes a difference. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. That'll be a future video, if they're worth the money or not, because straw blankets can be pretty expensive. Maybe they'll be worth the money. I don't know. We will see. I'm probably gonna regret it. Probably gonna regret it. Now I can admit I do fully regret not just doing the whole yard. Let me show you. Overall, I would say the straw blankets were a success. They did exactly what I needed them to, which was to mainly hold the dirt in place on this bank here, but also hold the seed in place. And as you saw, most of the other parts of the lawn, a lot of the seed washed out. This right here did not. So it is time to take them up. Well, if that right there isn't an advertisement for using straw blankets, I'm not really sure what would be. Look at that. I expected this to turn out better. I did not expect it to be that distinct. So I've got these things all saved over here. I've got more to do up there, but I'm gonna save them and then I might overseed this thing, go ahead and do it, or if I wait and do it in the fall, that's fine too. And then I'm gonna use the straw blankets all around the side of the house. Now, was I a fan of straw blankets before? Absolutely not. Am I a fan of straw blankets now, going forward? Absolutely. Just down in the dumps, looking at that over there and the rest of the yard, for good reason. But then I pulled up these straw blankets and holy smokes, I got a glimpse of hope. That's all it takes, a little glimpse, keep me going. So I pulled these straw blankets up when the grass was around an inch or so, which is usually when I recommend it. And of course, we go out of town to Michigan the next day and I get a text from my neighbor Doug, and we had another downpour. And even though this stuff was under straw blankets and it came up super well, the Kentucky bluegrass just doesn't root into the ground super fast. And well, here's the state of all this stuff. Now obviously it's a new construction lawn. If you watched the video before, you saw how crappy the soil is here, and so we brought in topsoil. But like I said, it all got washed away, and underneath that topsoil there's still all the crap. And so you can still grow grass on crap soil. I have no doubt that if I would have covered this entire thing with straw blankets, the grass would have been full and thick through here. So this section right here came in extremely well. See how long that is? I have not cut this yet, and that looks fantastic. This is Kentucky bluegrass, just like the rest of the yard that you see. And for some reason, this came in very well. Now, if we look at this soil here, you can see the red clay down in there, but for the most part, the dirt actually looks pretty good. And the reason why, we dug out this rock wall here, we dug out quite a bit of this, and we actually put some topsoil in here, so there's probably a thicker amount of topsoil in here. And it's just better nutrients, better grass. Hi, bud. You get some dirt on you? You see this dirt? See, there's actually some roots down in there because there's actually some roots running down in there and growing deep. You want to hold that? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Can you show the camera? There you go. See that camera? Good stuff right there. Let me show them this real quick, okay? Okay. And so basically we have a better topsoil here. Yeah. Can I see it? Or you're going to hold it? Okay. So basically what we have here is just a better growing base for the grass seed to root down into. It's not as compact. It's just got a lot more nutrients in it. Much, much better. And I think that's why this grass has grown a lot more. There you go. Now the reason why this section right here has come in so thick up through here is I think it's just because the trees above us, the tree canopies, has just prevented the hardness of the rain. Hardness, that's not what I'm looking for. You gotta have hardness in your life though. The tree canopy has just prevented the rain from coming down so hard it kind of breaks up the stream as it's coming down right here, whereas in the open areas where there's nothing blocking the rain as it's coming down, just got completely wiped out. If it stays together. Whereas if you look at this plug right here, hopefully you can see this on camera, you can see that there's just a lot more clay. It's a lot more hard. It's just not nearly as good a soil. Right there. Okay, show them. Yeah. There you go. You're natural, bud. Oh, you're gonna break up the soil? There you go. Me. Okay. And then the funniest part about this whole thing, the part that confuses me the most, or just makes me scratch my head, is the fact that I watered this section 0 times and came in pretty well. Now this makes sense. It's not like this is not confusing to me. The no watering makes sense. We got a ton of rain, and this section doesn't wash out as bad because it's got all these limbs above it. It gets plenty of sun from this direction, but the limbs break up the hardness, like I said, and yeah, no washouts here for the most part. But the tall fescue germinates in a lot less time than the Kentucky bluegrass traditionally. And then as soon as it germinates and sprouts, it starts sending down roots. So it was able to establish a root system here so that it wouldn't wash out as bad as the Kentucky bluegrass. That is one benefit of doing something like fescue over the bluegrass. We have had so much rain that the mud has washed over one of my evergreen sprinklers. It's in here somewhere, and I don't know exactly where. So, hey, I found it. There she is. All right, be nice and gentle here when you're pulling these babies out. Oh, there's a good one. Okay, so what you see behind me that looks like corn, this is Johnson grass. And the topsoil that we brought in was just absolutely riddled with it. And I know it's the topsoil and it's not already in this dirt here. There might already be seeds. Weed seeds hang out for years and then they pop up when they want to. But everywhere we put topsoil, this stuff's popping up. And everywhere we didn't put topsoil, this stuff's not popping up. And if you can see that, it is literally everywhere. Some of it's like 4 feet tall. Crazy stuff. Now the trick to this is there's not a selective herbicide that I know of that kills Johnson grass and doesn't kill your Kentucky bluegrass or your fescue or your ryegrass or whatever. You have to spray glyphosate on it, which is gonna kill everything. Now the other trick to it is you can pull this stuff out, but you need to get it when it's in the early stages, and you have to be very careful, because just like Kentucky bluegrass or some of these other grasses that spreads, it sends out rhizomes under the ground. That's what that white thing is right there. And basically, see, there's multiple of them on this one plant. It'll send it out underground, and then another plant will establish here and pop up, and then they'll keep sending these out. And so it grows underground, and it's got this extensive root system underground that if you pull these out and you don't get all this stuff, well, it's just gonna grow back, which is not fun for anyone. Shoo! 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 Taken care of and ripped out of the ground as soon as possible. Oh, don't rip on me. Dang it. I'm gonna have to spray these. Man, I can just picture what this place will look like in like 3 years when all the grass is here and thick and established. All the plants that I planted above that wall are growing and big and colorful. We've got a garden and some fruit trees. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be sweet. So if you've stuck around to this point in the video, I appreciate you sticking around. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any comments, leave them down below. If you have anything that you want to see during some of these different sections that I'm gonna be doing and making videos on, if you have something specific you want me to cover, leave it down below. Other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I appreciate you guys sticking around, and we'll see you next time. So going forward, here's my plan. Don't give me too hard a time about these weeds. I'm growing them out for something. Yeah, so I think the best plan of action is we need to fix the drainage here. Obviously, this is terrible, and I want to put a patio off of this eventually. So I think I'm gonna try to mark out our patio area, and we're gonna try to put in our paver patio if we have time. Don't know if we will, but that's number one. The patio, the grade will be probably 10 inches higher than what that is now, and so when the patio comes out, then we'll put more dirt in around it to slope it away from it, and that should help run the water away. As far as the grass goes, I'm gonna split it up into sections. I think we've got 4 different sections we're gonna split into. That way we can break it up. I can focus on one section at a time. About every 2 to 3 weeks, we can focus on it, do some overseed jobs, and we can water it for 2 or 3 weeks before we move on to the next one. I think that will give us the best results possible. This is section 1, this combined with the part across the driveway. Both of these are tall fescue, Barenbrug RTF, and they just need a little overseed job. So this section, keep in mind, we'll eventually have a garden here. We've got fruit trees going right here, which we already have the holes dug. I just gotta plant the trees. But this will be section 1, and I think this will probably be the easiest spot. Section 2 is actually out by the road. We just cleared all those trees right there. We're still trying to burn the brush, and I think that's actually going to be one of my favorite parts of this lawn. I think it'll be fun. So if you have any ideas or suggestions about what grass I should plant there, right now I'm thinking the same tall fescue I put in the other stuff. Might go Kentucky bluegrass. At this point in time, it does not have irrigation. Now, as far as this section goes, this is the section you pull up my driveway, and it's the first thing people see when they pull up here. I think I'm gonna put a putting green right here. Now, I have not mapped it out yet, but it'll be this entire area right here, or not the entire area, but like I'm talking like the edge of it here, put a sand bunker here, basically a sandbox for my kids to play into, maybe some landscaping around here, kind of like people, I've seen so many people do this in the backyard putting greens group, and it looks awesome. I need to trim some of this tree up, but basically it'll come up here, over here. I've got 3 irrigreen heads here, and I want it right inside the irrigreen heads so that the irrigreen heads would be in what would be the fringe cut. I think it would be awesome. I don't want to copy all these people. I'm not trying to, oh, everyone's doing putting green, I'm going to jump on it and try to make views on YouTube. That's not what I'm doing it for. I might not even film the entire process unless you guys want to see it. I just want it for my kids to come out here and play on. I think it would be so fun. I'm trying to get my kids into golf, so if we have this something here that we can practice on, that would be awesome. I just think it would be really, really fun for me and my family. Now, if there's anything specific you'd want to see with this, I'll show it. I am going to show the process of doing the aeration on it, because I have a specific tool I'm using for that. And then I'm going to be dumping sand and spreading that out. So maybe I'll show that process. But other than that, not really sure I'll show it unless there's something specific you guys want to see with it. And then the fourth or fifth? The last section is going to be the main yard here that is going to be the Kentucky bluegrass. Everything that I have, other than the putting green, everything that I have sprinkled with irrigreen sprinklers is going to be its own section. I might actually break up the front from the back just so I can do one at a time. That might be the way to go. Haven't decided yet. So maybe section 4 and 4A and 4B. We'll see. But basically this is my biggest challenge. One, because it's such a large area. There's about 22,000 square feet here. If you're not including the tall fescue sections and all that, just the Kentucky bluegrass sections, there's about 22,000 square feet minus what's going to be in the putting green. It's a large area. Large for me, it is a large area, and we have our work cut out for us here. Another thing I'm going to take the opportunity to do is, once this dries out and we are ready to do this, I'm going to aerate the time out of this thing. Plug as many holes as I can, and then I'm going to try to remove the cores. There's a lot here to remove. I'm just going to take my backpack blower and I'm going to blow as many of them off as I can. If I don't get them all, not a huge deal. Just going to try to get as many as I can. And then I'm going to backfill with some really, really, really good compost. There's a place locally, I'll have a video on this. There's a place, it's about 30 minutes from me. They make fantastic compost. I think I'm going to get a semi-load, which is a crap ton. It's 42 yards, I think. And I'm going to just cover this entire thing with it. I want a good base. If I'm going to redo this, I want to do it right from the get-go and give this lawn as good of a start as possible. Tried to go cheap in the summertime just because mainly I knew I was going to have to do a lot of work. Didn't think it'd be this much, but I knew I'd have to do some work. And you can see this soil? I'd rather have some good dark stuff down in there that has a lot of nutrients. It's going to continue feeding. I just think it's the best way to go.